Okay, we're just going to do some extras. Mitch and I had a few things we didn't cover as well as we'd like to, and some things we'd like to just play around with a little bit further. And the one that we thought is worth talking about a little bit more is around that unsecured loan and Mitch's sense of that now before the COVID-19 episode. How did you assist people with regards to debt, to mortgages, to credit, and how would we play in that now? What would you suggest? What do you think?
Well, I think in any situation where you're going to look at bringing on bank debt, injections of capital from owners or something like that, you need to determine if it's a viable business. So don't go and mortgage your house and put money into a business that is on the way down and only a small chance of surviving. That's probably the message. If you're going to go and borrow money, and I don't know the fine print of the $250,000 unsecured loans, but I'm assuming there'd be personal guarantees attached as well, at least to a portion of that loan. If you're going to take the money, make sure that you can pay it back.
Sounds like an obvious thing, but it's important.
But when people are in desperate situations, they think that if I can just get my hands on 250 grand, everything will be okay. But $250,000 doesn't go that far if you've got a medium-sized business. It chews pretty quickly.
So what we're just having a chat about there is we put $250,000 into the business, we take the 6-month repayment holiday, but we build that into our cost and revenue assumptions, knowing that we've created almost a platform and an opportunity to get some oxygen to launch from month 7 of that 12-month business plan.
I think the repayment holiday is a huge thing, and even for individuals out there, if you're struggling, you're a sole trader, and your world's just fallen apart, because a lot of businesses have, get in contact with your bank if you do have a mortgage or any other finance, and take up the bank's generous offer of a loan holiday for 3-6 months, because it just gives you that breathing space. And that's probably the number one tip for people. Now
the other thing we didn't cover in a lot of depth, but it's worthwhile talking about, but again, it's kind of always been the same and always will be in regards to landlords, leases, rent. But in this particular time, there is some provision made to provide some protection, isn't there, to commercial tenants? But typically, what is the situation?
My read of that is that you can't evict during this 6-month period, and the Prime Minister actually, at the end of one of his press conferences, said, just sit down with your landlord and negotiate a deal. So I don't know how much has changed. You're still going to have to communicate to your landlord like you would if you were experiencing financial difficulty before. I think the case is that landlords, if they can, will need to look at, well, do I want a tenant after the 6-month period? And I think that's, even take the landlord out of it, people, do I want a customer when all this is over? And that's the difficulty. You need to balance the need of income, because these landlords, some people, it might be you're a landlord, it's a big source of your income, and people do run it like a small business. What does that look like for you? You can want to give the poor business owner struggling down the street rent relief from that, but how do you balance that with your obligations and that sort of stuff?
So in your work in the past, you would have gone in and renegotiated leases. That's a sort of a standard approach, isn't it?
Yeah, look, in times of crisis, in turnaround, you'd look at rent is one of the biggest costs. So the first thing we might say to someone is, look, have you chatted to the landlord? Is there any scope of a reduction in rent? And straight away, that's a relatively quick win. Oh, look, we're really struggling at the moment. Can we go on a 2-month rent holiday till we get back on our feet? And communication's the key. Be upfront and honest. As in any situation here, as soon as people start twisting the truth and the like, relationships sour.
Indeed. Is there anything else today that we didn't cover or that you want to touch on? And we can just use the remainder of this time to talk about those things that you didn't quite cover enough?
I suppose the major thing is that the insolvency options, if you look at a situation where this isn't viable, our debts are too large now, this crisis is just
too much
and it's added to it, it's time to wrap up.
Yeah.
If you're looking at something like that, the tool is a voluntary liquidation. That voluntary liquidation, subject to a few clauses, will shelve your debt.
So how do you bring that on? So tell me, when someone comes, do they arrive at you because you guys are licensed to do that? How does it work?
We're licensed liquidators and bankruptcy trustees. We're also chartered accountants. The first thing we look at with people is that, can we turn this business around?
So I've called you, I've gone,
Yep.
Mitch, mate, I don't think I can, this is not going to happen. I'm stressed, I can't get out of this. How can you help me?
Yeah, so we usually like face-to-face meetings, but give us a call, we'll do it over the phone or via any number of these online video, Skype, Zoom, one of them. We'll have a look at your financials. We'll together usually with the accountants involved, we'll workshop scenarios where is this business viable? Can we turn it around?
Yeah.
That's the process. If we can turn it around, great, a big tick.
Yep.
If we can't, we start looking at these other insolvency options. Is it a liquidation?
Yep.
Is it a voluntary administration because the business just needs a breather and a restructure? For individuals, can we negotiate, or alternatively, is it a bankruptcy?
So I guess...
So the process is we work through the issues and then one outcome will become clear.
Yeah, and I guess you probably develop quite close working relationships with those people through that process, and you're supporting them and you're referring them on if they need additional help or support, but I guess you're supporting them through it, aren't you?
Yeah, the big one for us is that if someone comes to us and they believe they're in strife and they want to do a liquidation, we'll look at that situation. If it's not, we'll refer them back to their accountant and say, you need to take further advice from your accountant to look at some other options. If they don't work, come back to us in 6 months and you can do a liquidation.
And I guess that's just maybe towards closing on this, that's one of the things we spoke about. There's a whole lot of complexity around taxation here that is not what you guys do. That's not your bag. It's going back to your accountant or accountants that have got that specialisation. So it is perhaps using all of the people that are available to help you at this point, because there's probably some assumptions need to be tested on some of these taxation measurements that have been put in place, isn't there?
So I think in a crisis situation or in an insolvency situation, it's good to get a good team around you. So speak to your accountant, speak to your insolvency advisor if that's appropriate, and workshop ideas. You want to explore absolutely everything before you go down the path of winding your business up. However, there comes a time where you've got to be honest with yourself and say, this thing isn't viable anymore.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, thanks, Mitch.
Great.
I'm going to close there. We've got a whole range of business disruption tools which can be a good setup to then go to speak with someone like Mitch or someone like John Garris. Once you've got a sense of where you're at, it's important, I think, before you go to professionals that you take the time to look at the moving parts of your business, get a good understanding of the levers, get a good understanding of where you're at, so that when you do speak with people that work professionally in this area, they are confident you've got a sense of where you're at. So please come back to us for an appointment, and we'll do everything we can to support you through those first few steps and then refer you on to the right people along the way. So thank you.